Hey everybody, good morning. You got Lady Hippy here this morning. I'm not even sure myself how I got here. I had to have somewhere to go to show off my dress. Robert bought one. Well, he bought two for me for Christmas, and they were the temperatures plummeted, and so it was boots, jeans, and sweaters. Not really my kind of thing. I do like boots, so it's kind of fun to mix that up, but not what I really wanted. You're gonna kind of see me going back and forth again. I've got both of them here. One of them has a much bigger screen, so I'm trying not to do this where I have to turn around all the time or to the side. I'm not sure which way I'm looking, so bear with me. I'm the editor in chief. I'm the photographer. I'm the reporter. I've been here before. Let's just report flowers. They're just barely in. I love my roses. Robert's always good to me and Tiger Rose. He always grabs some when he goes out to Walmart or wherever he's going. Especially if he stops at Walmart. Um, so I usually have roses, even though I can't tend to my own any longer due to health problems. But I still have roses at home, and that's always nice. I made myself a couple of bullet points just to see if I would stay online or on rhythm, but I know me, I'm just not going to do it. Whatever kind of crosses my mind is what I'm going to talk about. And then you guys can throw stuff in the comments and tell me whether I was way wrong or almost right. Or so for entertainment purposes only, yes, I will be here all week. I only take one day off right now from my live stream. I do every day. I do a live stream, but Sundays. Maybe that would make more sense. Yes. Um, there were several things that I noticed, of course, this morning. We don't really have news per se, but we do have streaming and YouTube, and that turns out pretty well most of the time. I get whatever news I'm wanting to get and find out who's doing what to who, and that's close enough for me. hmm Excuse me. I think we're being told we can't do that camera. It's one of the few times that I get one of my cigarillos. I don't actually smoke a whole one. I will smoke a little of it and then put it away for a week or two or whatever, because I can't smoke continuously. Not to mention they're high as the heavens. I don't know what that's all about. But Robert, every once in a while, will grab me a pack. Um, and that's very sweet of him to go out of his way to do that. I used to smoke these when I was in Europe, and because we had stamps, we literally you had so much you could buy of cigarettes, so many cartons, and of course, one never bought enough back in those days, and so these were on the German market. Well, basically every market I went to in Europe, you could buy a cigarillo. Machines every you could buy beer from machines in Europe. I bet you can now because they went to the automatic thing a lot faster than we did. They had the jump on us. Mm. I should always say, I'm an untrained, unpaid cashier. And then I love the how do you rate your visit today? Well, 5 star. It was me all day, you know. See, I'm trying to echo just a tad. Oh no. Well, 2024 is if you ask me, started off to a grand start. I have been wanting to do a podcast for a couple of years, and it's not like I'm a celebrity and I can draw in like I would love to see Cat Williams. But of course, it wouldn't even be safe for him to come to just my little old home, especially with all the things that are whirling around now. So I hope that is taken care of soon, that they give Cat the respects that he deserves. So that some of that will die down. I've watched several things. I watch them in the evening just so I can talk about them in the morning so you can see what I'm doing at night. Absolutely nothing, or at least as little as possible, just to see what is going to be chopping up here this morning. Of course, the Trump thing, I have not kept up. I used to watch what we call now the satellite news. I call it the satellite politics channels because they don't have news. We've had in Oklahoma, there were 8 earthquakes yesterday. And Oklahoma does not suffer from earthquakes. They do suffer from tornadic activity, but they don't get little tremors, big tremors, earthquakes per se. They don't get those. So they're a little upset about that. Of course, it's cold as it can be. They had so much snow, and I've talked about that before. People that aren't in the snow belt, they don't realize that you can get 3 or 4 feet of snow in a day and a half. And you think, okay, they've got the roads done and salted, and you're good to go. Meanwhile, you have walls of literal ice. It's like the Arctic is parked in between you and where you're going. It used to drive my dad stupid because they would always break off all this snow and ice or whatever, and they would block everybody's driveways. They did. They didn't pick up the thing and then go across. No, they draw all this, 15 feet. Dad would have to dig out almost every other day. So I'm watching this, and even a fire truck, and you would think they would have a better idea. They go around the corner and they keep going around that corner. I have so been there, done that. It's a terrible sensation, let me tell you. But they got it under control in the driveway of one of the homes that was near the fire. It's like, oh God. And the person is watching them that the house is on fire, and they're like, I'm not going to get this put out today. Poor babies. But they did, like I said, they got it under control. I'm still seeing unlikely weather everywhere. If we don't have a volcano going off or earthquakes going off in diverse places, I use that term from the Bible, then you've got floods, you've got fires. I actually saw a fire in the middle of a field of snow in a rocky little place, as if somebody just set a candle there, snow and ice all around it. There's just this little flame in the middle of nowhere in the woods. Somebody saw it and filmed it. Uh, it's just not explainable. That wasn't a lightning hit. There's nothing wrong with the tree. It's a tree with on a rocky like embankment, and there's a fire there. There's just this tiny little flame, like I said, like a candle. So that was new. That was just a little bit new. I did not hear. I didn't probably watch long enough. Excuse me. Mm. I love my coffee. My husband gets me Irish cream, and I'm making an abuse of that a little more than I should probably. It's like today. I get to wear a dress and nice, low heels, but I don't have to wear any pantyhose because I'm not going anywhere. Just wearing it because it's new. I love that stuff. I am retired. I can't believe I can say that. I'm retired. And no, I am not old as dirt. I passed old as dirt years ago. Now I'm just waiting on God. You get to come this time. We're going to let you stay because I have died before and come back 3 times. I have in my yearly years, yearly years. Oh, that's kind of cute too. Anyway, I got a new button. Check this out. Well, now it won't do it. I have to do this in editing to see if it worked. That's the one, yeah. I'm loving this stuff. I am so loving this stuff. Guys, it helps a whole bunch if you throw that like in there. Hit that button, subscribe. It's free. If nothing else, go ahead and jump in the comments. I do that a lot myself. I try not to jump on comments or, do things when I'm watching these things. So I don't want to pull them and grab them and put them on my channel. I think that's wrong. So I won't do that. But I also noticed that I'll be watching my favorite ones and I'll forget to go and like. Now I'm subscribed to them, but the algorithms pretty much have to stay the same. You're going to have to, get a like every once in a while, whether it's a new person or not. Sorry, guys, something got in my eye. And since they did the surgery and I have those artificial lenses, which are working badly, it's the VA. What can I say? But you can't really stop what I can't anyway, stop what I'm doing. I don't want to. So we will have to just deal with makeup issues later. I'm also the makeup artist, just so you know. I'm the wardrobe makeup artist. I'm just the announcer. I'm the one that's getting the content. In other words, I have total control. It's right up my alley. Oh, wait. We try again. Here we go. There it is. And neither are buttons that we could put. Robert had showed me. I have 2 systems. So that's been fun because I have another system for a guest when all of us are feeling better. We're going to have a 70 plus degree day. I was pleasantly surprised myself. Plus, my Google Dot worked this morning without me having to reboot it. I'm not sure why, but it's been having to be rebooted a lot. So we're going to have one of those great days, meaning I should probably clean the house and don't want to. I'm only up here because I made myself a vow that I would do this every day, that I would not let people down that were looking to see it or wanted to leave comments. It's kind of like a job, basically. And I made myself promise not to do more than the one day off because that would kind of start to make me lose interest or whatever and stop doing it. And I don't want to do that. I think it's a wonderful thing, the social media. And I would have been on fire had this been around when I was a young woman. You wouldn't have been able to see me for dust. I mean, it is an awesome thing. You got your camera, you got your laptop, you got everything you need in any of these. And I think I see that my cat's playing around with, oh, yep, she is. She was playing around with the computer. So the blurring you saw just then, that was her. She does do things like that. I call it's a cat thing. I promised I would also smoke more of my vapor than I would anything else. Um, I was wondering, there are several things I wanted to talk about tonight that I saw. Does anybody know about out of place artifacts? I think a lot of us do. A couple examples would be, let's see, they found a bell, what looks to be a bell from, say, India, the Buddhist type of a bell, in 200 million year old coal when they broke it. Nobody knows where that came from. They opened a tomb in China, and I believe they said it was in the 1400 to 1800 year range ago. You'd have to look that up. My memory is not always that sharp. And inside they found a watch ring. Timex made some of these, and it's a ring, but it's also a little watch inside it. And you can see it doesn't have a cover or anything. It's just this little band like this, only it's made for a finger. There's no way that could have been in there. And of course, Timex was not working when that tomb was sealed. So there's two out of the way. I've also seen many other things that have made me wonder. Has anybody seen the dinosaur tracks along with the human tracks? They had them in San Antonio, so somebody told them. They stole them, or maybe they got lucky and got to get most of them to the university. I'm not sure. But I did see them. I was in San Antonio when they were discovered. And at that time I was an amateur archaeologist, we'll put it that way. Still am. I love that stuff. So how did that happen? Anybody hear about what's called the Ica stones? It's INCA, Ica stones. They're black, generally obsidian, and not obsidian, it's a harder material. I can't think of it off the cuff, but on these black, you almost had to say balls, but they're not quite balls either. They're not spherical enough. But on these stones, we'll put it that way, they have drawn in people riding dinosaurs. They drew in people performing heart surgery. They drew in people doing trepanning, which is opening your head, take that bit of skull out, open your head so that the fluids will drain and your brain won't die. And I lost two friends to that, and I'm still not good with it. It's been 40 years. And so thank God for some advancements. These guys were doing stuff. If they were doing what was on these stones, then they had to have been here a couple 100 million years ago. I believe the last die-off, or what they call the great die-off, the last one we had was about 60 million years ago. So either way you want to flip that, it's been a while. Just saying. It's anybody hear about the body they found in the ice? I think it was Sweden or Norway. I'm not sure. You'd have to again look that up. It's called Utsi. He had been killed with an arrow to the back, and when he died, he, of course, didn't move, and he just got. It was like permafrost. kind of a look, smashed him, turned his skin a dark color. But he also had all of his clothing, all of his weapons, food, things like this. The man had marijuana and marijuana seeds in his pouch. So, and they estimate he was, I think, 3,000 years old or more. Again, you have to check me on those dates. But they knew about this stuff years ago. And that marijuana was also used to treat things, many things. And it's a very good medicinal plant, and there's a lot you can do with it. Even the forefathers of the United States, take President Andrew Jackson or President George Washington, take them to just out of the hat. And they left in their diaries, journals, whatever anybody wants to call them, that to make the most of the hemp plant. And of course, we call it a weed, but it's a hemp plant, and you can be used to make clothing, rope, sails, anything, just about, and very sturdily made too. So, except the ones that catch on fire and make everybody happy, you can also again use all that. So even the forefathers, and they too had done recipes that this could be used for tinctures made from it and so forth. The tincture is after you let it melt down, maybe add sugar or whatever, and then you take, when it's completely liquid, you put it through a cheesecloth and put it into a small bottle with a stopper. And it's amazing what you can do with these things. Big farmers make a lot of money off dandelion. I'm just saying. Just, I can tell you 2 or 3 tinctures that are better than morphine, and that you can administer yourself. And someday you may have a need to do that because the hospital's not open, because something biblical is going on around the world. I don't know. Please hit me up in the comments on that one. I'd love to think that I wasn't the only one noticing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're saying people are being cloned. People in the industry of just say hip hop. It brings to mind Kanye West, or Ye, I think he's called now. Ye, it's kind of like an Acme thing with the Roadrunner, but okay, it's a choice. He disappeared for 3 months. They all said he got sick, and he come back, and he said they wouldn't let him out until he did this, or this, and whatever it was. And so he's finally out. And he tells the cameraman right there, he says, if I go missing, and for a few days, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, if I go missing and nobody sees me or hears from me, they did something to me. Now they're saying, a bunch of them are coming up and saying these guys have been cloned. Look, Jamie Foxx had a tattoo on his head, the back of his head. Apparently he went missing, and if I remember correctly, even I had noticed in the news that he was ill. But when he came home, he wasn't the same guy. For one, the tattoo is gone, and I didn't notice this. These are things I'm picking up when I watch the podcast at night before I run over to. I like the BBC, so I have a BritBox channel as well. So I love those. So I go through some in the mornings before I come out here and scare everybody, and then there are the ones that I like to do at night, just to make some pen notes about what's going on and what isn't going on. And we really need to know both. I don't know what we're going to do with it. But in politics, apparently Trump is winning, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is having problems. Everybody in the country, in our country, does not want to go to war. We don't want to spend any money for war, and yet we're fighting Yemen already from the sea. And we're also fighting Iran from the sea. And for good manners, let's throw in Syria. So that's 3 countries that our Navy is engaged with right now. They are weapons hot, and they've already been showing that power. And that ain't a tenth of what they could do. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm going to have to call that a war. That we're in a war. No, thank you. We have not had any casualties, and they're keeping that kind of on the QT. But I would bet my last dime, and I'm not a bet woman unless I'm real sure I'm going to win it. But I would bet my last dime that we are technically at war. The Hunter thing, I don't know why they didn't arrest him when this all came out. Was it 2016, 2017? They had him, and still they elected daddy president who was taking kickbacks. He actually was at a college or a university, can't remember which one it was, but I saw the clip where he says that he didn't like the guy who was the president of this banking, not banking, but gas company, and that if he wasn't fired within the hour, they wouldn't get their $5 billion. And this was at the Ukraine. This was set to go to the Ukraine. And this is in front of a live audience at some place he's speaking, some university. He's sitting down, all comfortable, and he's like smirking. Get rid of him or don't call me back. And he said, don't you know they called me back in a few minutes? They done got rid of that guy. And I'm like, oh my God, you just can't make this stuff up. This, you know, and they're all clapping. Yay. It left me kind of gobsmacked too. I'm like, okay, so these guys thinks it's cool to bribe our president by getting rid of somebody else and paying a president that is not from their country. He's supposed to be leading his own country, yet he's being paid through his son, Hunter, all these all this money and cars, and you just name it. Same with, I believe it's Saudi Arabia is also one that has been sending quite a bit of money. The brother and the son, I can't remember the brother's name offhand, but they've been filtering this money around, so it's not in old Joe's account. Okay. Now I'm thinking they tried to impeach Donald Trump, former president, I should say, Donald Trump. How many times? Anybody show of hands? I think it was like 4 times before he left office. Then they waited like 2 months and they raided his house. Now nobody knows what they took out. Nobody knows what was in there for them to take out. They're not supposed to do such a thing, especially to a sitting or a formerly sitting president, for crying out loud. I didn't see anybody raid Obama's place. I'm just saying, same thing. So these guys don't even know what they're doing in there, and they're going through all their personal stuff, literally going through the drawers of the panties of the wife. This is too much, and they should have been reprimanded severely, and anything that they found should have been declared gone because it was taken. It wasn't done legally, and what are they trying to do to my country? I would love to know. I would love to say anybody say, yeah, they're doing this because they can, and because they are tearing apart our country, I believe, from within. And that's an easy thing to do, more so than to fight that country for a couple of years and nothing's left. It's just a couple of pebbles here and there, which is all along, I think, is pretty much what I've said about Gaza. I hate to see 2 million people and nobody letting them in. We're certainly letting it. We had 11 million. I think it was just this year alone. We let it. These guys are looking at a couple of million. It should be a piece of cake. Every one of these countries are all rich anyway. That means everybody's rich. I think they give most of them a paycheck every year. In any event, they need to open their borders and let these refugees in. They can't go back to Gaza. They shouldn't go back to Gaza. They were the ones that were helping the Hamas organization. They're the ones that supposedly voted them in to run their country. But it's really Iran that's been funding them and the other couple of terrorist groups that are running around now in the background. So it looks to me as if Israel, even if they chop off Hamas, let's say they win that, okay? These guys train their kids at like 3 years old up to hate Israelis, to shoot and kill Israelis, and to make it a global jihad, not just Israel, but global. And I don't know if anybody remembers 9/11 or 9/11. I also don't hear them speak about the Pentagon, the plane that hit the Pentagon the same day, or the plane that went down in the field in Philadelphia. All I see are the 2 towers, and they're reading off the names of those lost at the towers. It was a horrific thing. I saw it myself live. And I knew it was a terrorist attack just as soon as I saw that plane hit. I was at lunch and I saw that plane hit that building, and I knew it was I knew it. I just knew it was going to come down. And I called my husband. He was seeing it as well. Even though he was on the road, he too had a break for lunch. And he's always had, his laptop cameras and phones and, TVs and refrigerators and stuff. I called it his mobile apartment. He had all that too. But even then, I said, it's not over. And right about that time, the second plane hit the other tower. Now, where they made their first mistake was to say, go back in, it's safe now. a plane just hit this thing. That was two of my cats apparently angry at each other in the background. The only questions I have about 9/11 is the fact that they don't speak of the Pentagon being hit. They don't speak of the souls lost in that Pennsylvania field. They are just as much 9/11 as the two buildings. And I would like to see them being added back where they belong as those who also lost their lives on this terrorist attack. And yes, it's been a while. It's been a little while, a little bit. Has it been long enough for everybody to forget? A little bit. Everybody needs to sit back and take a good long look at what is going on in our country. The people of the Muslim sect are going crazy next to supposedly Christian, students to say that they want the river to the sea, which is genocide of all of the Jewish nation. Now, I haven't seen, like I said, the Jews blow up the Dome of the Rock yet, so I can't see how they continue to say that if the Israelis are guilty of war crimes and all of this stuff. And yet they didn't call out the guys who killed 1,500 people, men, women, children, babies, hung them, burned them, cut heads off. Nothing, no problem. The only problem is the Israelis are still fighting them, and apparently the UN wants them to stop. The UN only has one job. Why aren't they doing it? Why are they attacking the one country that was attacked and had to declare war? They had to. They had they easily had 1,300 dead in horrific ways. And then, of course, the 250 got hostages. I know of 25. There might be more that have lost their lives there. They won't even release their remains so that the family can take care of it. They know the habits of the Jewish people as well, and the body needs to be laid to rest with everything. I mean, they would sop up the blood from wherever these bodies were, and that would be buried with them. It's an odd custom. It's one they've done for many thousands of years, and it's not our right to question it, even if they hadn't. But I don't see in the news, and I say news, it's the political news channels. And suddenly these guys are national activists and not terrorists. And they don't know how they're staying alive because they have no food, no water. The hospitals are generated. Well, geez, for one thing, their gas, water, and all of that came for free from Israel. So Israel cut off the power, then they cut off the water, they cut off the gas. It was free to them. This was free. But these Palestinians were not upright, standing people either. They were as much a part of the attack that happened on October 7th as they are just as much a part of the war that has followed behind it and is still being waged. I understand that in some cases, if they complain, then that terrorists is going to turn around, shoot them, and probably shoot their family. But when they knew this, for one, if I knew what was coming on like that, I'd pack my little bags and move to the next country. It's not that hard. You can get more stuff, but when they shoot your kids in front of you can't get that back. And yet this was done to thousands of families. Probably almost everyone in Israel knows someone who was killed on October 7th, or maybe a few will know that they had miracles happen. One lovely story was a man, his wife, and his son. His daughter. She was 3, and they found them in their bunker room, bomb-proof room, and got them out. And they were taking them as hostages. They didn't try to kill them. Suddenly, somehow, they both got free, and she was holding the baby, and she handed the baby off to him and said, "Run, but don't follow me. Go save the baby." And of course, that's a terrible thing. But he ran in the opposite direction of his wife. And he could hear his wife being caught, but he kept running. And then he found a little place to hide, and he's explaining it the best way he can to his daughter about what's going on, that these people want to kill them. And she understood this even at 3 years old. So he digs down into the earth a little bit, throws some brush and stuff over them, and puts her on his chest, or maybe next to him. He might have been afraid they would shoot right through her. And they had to stay that way for, well, the attack started early dawn, and they were like that until it was dark before he would move. And the little girl had said at one point when they were still running that she wished they had thought to bring some water. She's 3. She knows they've captured her mother. They both do. And children are not stupid. So he cautiously gets out of the hole. He doesn't hear anything. And from their location, they walk to the back, say, end of the kibbutz. I call them little towns that they lived in. And the IDF was there. And so he knew that they would at least be taken out, that his daughter was safe. And he wanted to get to his father in law because his father in law had been hiding in the bathtub behind the shower curtain. And apparently nobody ever looked there. His wife was taken at the same time and they were separated. And they do have cameras and they saw that it wasn't but a couple of blocks and they killed her. I don't know why, but they killed her in the street, left her there. And so all of this, people are saying, we want to see, we want to see. You don't need to see. What I've seen is more than I could sleep with. And yes, someone needs to bear witness. But these people are wanting to bear witness. They're wanting to have a 2-state country again. That can never happen again. These kids are taught to fight and hate at 3 years old. So within a decade, you got more teenagers out there killing teenagers. It's the worst thing since Belfast. Actually, it's way worse than Belfast. It's to me, it's starting to smack of what the Nazis did, because I keep seeing my own people, what these people killed, want the war stopped. I mean, I still say if somebody was lobbing stuff at us from Canada for 75, 80 years, we'd done took care of that. We wouldn't have taken that. There's no way we would have. And I don't see how we can expect a country as small as Israel being attacked on 5 fronts now to take it either. And they didn't attack the military. They attacked the civilians. And they didn't even attack. What they did was so horribly. I can't even find a word in English to describe what these people did. This was not just kill everybody. This was vicious massacres that went way above and beyond the call of duty when a bullet would have worked. Okay. Because some of the stories they link out, and they have an organization that has to go in and retrieve the bodies and everything. And these people zip tied kids together and kids to their families or whatever, and then burned the place down around them, burning them alive. They beheaded babies, hung them in trees, and these people had to go in and they had to collect these bodies and everything that they could get along with their bodies put in the same body bag, because that again is custom. They had volunteers with them. And when they first came in and started at the desert at the raid, all they could see were these cars and people, and they were being shot at, and they kept going. They saved 5 or 6 in that location alone, and that's a miracle. It really is a miracle that they didn't kill more people. Either they didn't get it together or something, someone was protecting them. They had to. Yes, it was a horrific loss of life, but there was probably, 20,000 kids there or something. There's a lot of people there. And there are a lot of miraculous stories that they made it from there. And then, of course, I think they call it Zukos. You'll have to look it up. But there is an agency that goes to get these people. And I thought at the time that it was mainly in the desert where the kids were, that the major loss of life occurred. I was very wrong. They hit 5 towns, and very few people lived through that. They killed everybody in there. That's where the horror, most of the horror, was dealt out with these small towns. There were 5 of them they hit. And again, they had orders, they had maps. I mean, there was no doubt that this is exactly what they were supposed to do. And it was sanctioned by the government, so that makes it a war. It's not as if some people got together and said, well, let's start a new bike club. Let's go over and kill a bunch of these people and just go back. No. And for 10 years at least, they've been building these hundreds of clicks of tunnels that are like the arms of an octopus. They're everywhere. One beneath a checkpoint for people to come into work in Israel from the Palestinian side. It was huge. You had four branches that came off of it, had bunker doors. I mean, and nobody ever caught on that these were there. I can't get my head around that either because Mossad is one of the best there is. Better than our FBI, CIA, better than MI5, all of that. These guys are very good. And yet this was literally under their freaking feet. And they could have blown it and everybody else up at that crossing anytime they wanted to. They had it rigged. And the IDF have lost, I think, several people because they've gone into rigged places. So I would love to hear I would like to hear what makes anyone think that this war shouldn't be, that they should stop this war. I would love to know that because I'm not seeing it. I see no reason to stop this war. If they do, again, it's as if they wait then for the next slaying of when the terrorists get bored. Come on back, kill a bunch more people. People don't understand that the Israelis have 90,000 people displaced from their homes as well, or they would have died because so many missiles came through, and the Iron Dome could only keep hitting so many. I also heard the dome had taken a direct hit and saw it filming, and I'm hoping that they had more than one because they haven't stopped lobbing those missiles in from everywhere. So again, the UN to me is supposed to have one job. NATO's supposed to have a job. What? Not a big thing, just one job. They're not doing it. They've been paid for decades. These guys were settled in the 50s. Okay? So we're looking at a very long time that they've done nothing. Sarajevo and Bosnia, they had them out there. They're the ones with the blue helmets, by the way. If you see a blue helmet, that's the UN. And they gave them rubber bullets. Rubber bullet. I'd rather have a taser if I had to have something to want a weapon, but personally, I like my laser sight, so I don't need my glasses. Neither does my husband. But again, they gave them rubber bullets. I don't know what they thought they could do. And these guys have been rounded up and they were in camps. They were raping the women. Same thing is going on now, only in the Israelis' tunnels. And they're doing this because the Israelis are kicking their butts and taking down tunnel after tunnel. So they're keeping the hostages in the tunnel, but they know that they've already killed 25 of them. I don't know who's in charge of moving the bodies, but that must be fairly horrific in these tunnels. And again, these tunnels are big concrete tunnels. There's nothing to say that this is something carved out with a spoon and put up a couple of wooden slates. No. They've got hot and cold running water. They got places for showers. They got kitchens. They got places to fire from. They got places to exit to. Several of them exit into schools and hospitals, people's backyards. I mean, but everybody's screaming at the Israelis, stop it. Knock it off. Wake up. I mean, come on. This is no rocket science. And if I ever hear anyone tell me that World War II did not happen and they didn't burn anybody, I'm probably going to slug them because I happen to have gone to a couple of places. A lot of them don't think that they're in Germany. They think they're not in Germany. Not one of them is in Germany. Mainly Poland is where they are. So I went to see Auschwitz while I was there, and we're talking human fat a good 12 inches in this oven, and they left one of the crematoriums and showers so they could be seen in the barracks. You're getting there miles before because you could smell it. Not just death. I can't describe it. I honestly can't. And I was in the military at the time that I went, and there were a couple of times I had to sit down. It was hard, and this had happened 50 years before, and I could hardly walk through the remains of this place. So don't ever anybody think that the Holocaust didn't happen. Because if you don't believe that it happened, Google it. Get your butt on a plane and go to Poland and look at it. You're spouting stuff that makes you sound and look stupid. Don't do it. If you want to talk about a subject, that's great. That's what America's about. But go and check your freaking facts first. I never ever again want to hear anybody say, "Oh, the Holocaust didn't happen." Yeah, it happened, and there's even worse stuff about that, like the Pope taking pictures with Hitler. They were having a good time with Hitler. Mussolini ran Italy. The Pope used to have standing armies, so forth and so on. Basically, Italy was the papacy, and they fought wars for a couple thousand years until the 20th century, just before I believe that World War II actually started because Mussolini took over and Italy was now he had shoved it back to where they literally are today. That's the country now. Okay, but I think it was 1932 that Mussolini said, "No, you guys stay over here while the rest of the stuff's ours." So yeah, but they cooperated wholeheartedly. I've been there. You can see where the cattle cars were being loaded. They knew. I wouldn't be surprised to find, and they also helped to launder their money. They helped when they fell. They helped them get to wherever Brazil, Ecuador, everywhere. Yeah, they went straight to third world countries. They had plenty of money. It was already there. Homes already there. Bed belt. Wait now. But the Pope is in that up to their bloody head. I mean, like way up there. They're in all over that. Then you had all the other things that happened with it, just the catechism, all of the abuse, and then taking that priest and putting him over there, with the sheep, so nobody will know what happened to him. They don't talk about it no more. It's like the world has turned into Revelation. I love the books left behind. There are 25 or 26 of them. I have them all now. And I love reading them. And then I double check the Bible a lot because I used to remember everything I read, but I'm getting older and I want to make sure. So, I read the book and it comes to a certain thing and I'm like, and so I run over and read the passage again real quick. For those who don't like to read a Bible and are like me, organized religion is not my thing, but I like to know about a religion before I say, yeah, I'm liking you guys. I'm not saying that I don't like any religion. I like religions. And I myself have a bit of religious fervor of my own. And I think you have to sit back and look at all of them. And there's a grain of truth in all of them. There's a couple of things I like. Thou shalt not kill, but then you're on the Exodus and they say, go over to the land of Canaan, kill everything in it, take nothing out, burn it down, and salt the earth so it's never used again. I'm like, so what did that 2-month-old baby in Chaldea do to the supreme being? No, these are done by man, and the church has manipulated mankind for at least 6,000 years and kept us from doing certain things. Between that and burning libraries, and everybody goes, "Oh, that was Alexander." Alexander was not a person who would burn down a library. He was a very learned man, had always been respectable about knowledge. So I take that one too with a grain of salt. I believe that he got drunk and somebody, one of the priests, went out and burned down the library. You can't control people if they understand, well, English or Italian or whatever. If they're allowed to be semi-free, you can't control them. And there's a whole lot more of them than there are of you. So they don't want to give up that control. So I've touched on 2 or 3 different subjects today, as I usually do. I jump about. So throw those. I have everybody throw those in the comments because I haven't gotten used to it. I have it right now. A 2-screen variety as it is. I'm trying to go between both and trying to figure out which one just to use for one and then the monitor for anything in the live chat. So bear with me. It's for entertainment purposes only. That's right, folks. I will be here all week. I do hope to hear from some of the people that I know. I haven't yet heard from several relatives, and I thought they might jump in the comments. They may not have seen it. A lot of us, you can probably tell from my voice, a lot of us have been sick. We'll feel better for a day or two, and then we go, oh my word. That little voice in your head goes, shut up and get back in bed. And you really can't. Even if you don't work, you have tons of things to do. And again, that's my cat eating my cord. So I think the safer thing for me to do right now, rather than get the cat, is to tell everybody hit the like, click on the bell. Subscription is free. Now I'm going to have to go and kill a cat. Not really, but I'm going to make it very no, I'm not. Just I'm going to have to go ahead and end today's live broadcast. Anytime you see anything you want to talk about, I talked about, or any corrections or whatever, throw it in the stream, put it in the comments, please. Also, tell me I have to have a few more numbers and to keep my channel for one. So please hit that like button. You don't have to subscribe even though it's free, but I need those likes to go ahead and lock in some schedule. And I have my headphones on and my cat's playing with its ball, and it just sounds like I'm getting hit with a metal ball myself. Hello, everybody, and goodbye.